Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over the last of our business entities series. This one's going to be limited liability corporations, more commonly called LLCs. I'm sure everybody has seen that, business name, whatever it is, comma, LLC, and that's what you're seeing here. It's a limited liability corporation. So, what is an LLC? It's a business entity, sort of. It's something that you file with your Secretary of State, and it provides a lot of benefits for the members, air quote, of that LLC. So the general idea here is that, like we discussed in other ones, the sole proprietorship and the partnership have zero protection of your personal assets. So what most of those people that are going to run a sole proprietorship or a partnership or an S corp, they're going to make an LLC to provide that additional protection to get the best of both worlds. So, like I said, it must be set up through your Secretary of State. The stereotypical 5-step process that you can read off of any website is going to be choose the LLC name, appoint a registered agent, so whatever the main owner or operator is, or whichever one of the partners you want responsible for this. File your articles of incorporation. There's a number of websites that charge $50 to $100 to help you with filing this stuff, fully legally and appropriately, even with some semi-complex situations. Now, if your situation's super complex with limited partners and a bunch of members and all that kind of stuff, you probably ought to go to a lawyer. But for most people, they can do it online for a $50 or $100 fee, and they can help them set it up. Next, you're going to prepare an operating agreement, and then you're going to get your EIN number, and then you're going to basically pay for your incorporation status, your LLC status, and that's anywhere from $100 to $200 depending on which state you're in. For Kentucky, it's $150 it's $50 for the filing, and then it's $150 on your end of year tax return every year, and that's just basically to stay in good standing with the Secretary of State. So then this is my area of expertise. It's the liability and the tax implications. We're going to stay on this one a little longer than most because, like I said, this one is a little complicated because it can be so many different things and it can bounce between, all the options. And then I'm also going to go over some of the general ideas of the advantages of an LLC over just setting up a sole proprietorship where you just start doing stuff, or a small partnership. So first, obviously, the main advantage of an LLC is that it provides you protection of your personal assets. Now, I don't know the full backstory, but basically, the S corp was the only real option to provide a pass-through entity with protection of your personal assets. That's the video we went over last week. And then somewhere in the 1980s, I believe, was whenever they introduced this concept of the LLC, which gives you the general idea of the benefits of an S corp, or at least some of them, for a lot less work, a lot less money, and a lot less commitment. So that's the general idea here. That's why these are so popular, because they're pretty easy to set up. They have lots of flexibility, and they have lots of options for taxation. And then they have lots of options to bring new people in and kick people out and that kind of stuff. The main real downside is that you don't have stock to sell, so you can't gain liquidity or funds by selling stocks. So with an LLC, you can elect to be treated as literally any of the previous entities that we went over. That's why I chose to do this one last. So the most common elections, I would imagine, are sole proprietorships and partnerships. But then, like I said in the S corporation video, you have to have an LLC to elect to be treated as an S corp. And I'm not sure how that worked before, whenever there was just an S corp. I think before there was the LLC option, you had to incorporate as a C corporation and then elect to be taxed as an S corp on your first corporation tax return. So, like I said before, a lot of the advantages are the simplicity, the flexibility, the options for the management, meaning that you can kind of distribute funds how you would like with limited partners and that kind of stuff. The flexibility with the taxation is the biggest one, because with that ability to elect as any of the other entities, if you want to be a sole proprietorship with a little bit of protection of your personal assets, then set up an LLC, right? It's fully passed through. You still do a Schedule C. It's pretty simple to take care of. Same thing with a partnership. Rather than having that possibility that, like, the example before was the truck driver. If you have an LLC and you're a partnership, then nothing, that they'll be able to take your truck and whatever other money you have invested into that business, but none of your personal assets. So, the disadvantages, I mean, it costs, $150 a year, but for protection of your personal assets, it's definitely worth it. We recommend basically all of our clients, if they have any other assets at all other than their business, to set up an LLC. Like I said, it's $150 a year to keep it in good standing with the Secretary of State, and maybe $50 to $100 if you pay somebody to help you set it up. Now, obviously, it'll be more than that if you get a lawyer involved and your situation's real complicated. Then that initial setup fee could be higher. But I hope this helps. Like I said, this one has a lot of options, and there's a lot of things that I could cover and I could go over, but I want to keep these relatively short, compact, and to the point. So I hope this helps. If anybody has any questions, as always, drop them down in the comments or email me directly. It'll always be in the video description. Thanks. Bye.